Hi. My first story will come from when I was in China about 6 months ago in a town southeast of Shanghai. I don't really remember the name. I uh, I was on a business trip with my dad, and it was really nice trip. But one night, right, we were having this big dinner, about more than a dozen of us, maybe like 13, 14 maybe, all sitting around this table with a lazy Susan in the middle, and we were eating. And I'm not the biggest fan of seafood, but it was all they had. um, so I got used to it quite quick. But the issue was the alcohol they brought out was they called it was yellow wine. At first it was white wine, and then they changed it to yellow wine. And it was straight alcohol, and it was terrible. It was tasted terrible, and everyone had, you know, like six of them, you know. But I'm not a big drinker. But all the Chinese people, they're just surrounding you, and they force it down your throat if you don't comply. So around like the fourth or fifth one, we're all feeling it. It's 13 of us. We're all getting pretty drunk, and I thought I was gonna die this night, but we 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 there was a huge language barrier because a lot of them spoke only Chinese. Some of them spoke Chinese and a little bit of English. Then my dad and I spoke only English, so it was it was difficult to really have a meaningful conversation. But there's one thing that uh, the owner of the company that my dad was visiting to knew, and that was handsome boy, because he kept on calling me that. That's what I know. Every time the attention was put on me, he would be like handsome boy, all in that Chinese accent, and it was flattering at first, but then a dozen times later it was kind of annoying. But we were all drunk, so we were all getting a huge laugh out of it. And this guy is like a millionaire or something. I'm thinking, like, that's very nice of him, right? Uh, but one of the waitresses for the food was actually his daughter, and I didn't realize that until like halfway through the dinner. Uh, but he finally he keeps on saying handsome boy, and then he eventually like pulls his daughter aside and says, what did he say? He said, "You want, you know," and he was referring to me, wanting her, and I was very flattered, you know, um, but I didn't say yes. I said no. I'm good. No offense to your daughter, but it was it was pretty funny, right? And then later that night, um, there was another person at the table, someone on the other guy's business. He was getting a little too drunk, right? For every one we had, he had two. So he started to get very loud, and he he was I think he was from Mongolia, but he tries to start convincing me and this other guy to go get Korean food right afterwards. And right after this, what was it? It was like 3 hour dinner where every 15 minutes a new meal would go on the table, and no one would finish the last one, but they're still bringing out more. So, I'm getting sick because of the seafood and sick from the, wine. And he he keeps on saying Korean food, Korean food, and I'm like, no, I don't. I'm good. It's bedtime, um, and then he eventually convinced the other guy to go out, and I'm thinking, okay, good. He has company. I can go sleep. And then I look to my dad, and my dad's like, no, I think you should go. And I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna die. Of course, I listen to my dad, and I get this Korean food and Korean barbecue, and I'm thinking, I just have a couple of bites and I'm done. But these people didn't just want a couple bites; they ordered another table full of this Korean food, and I was kind of scared, right? Because it was better than the seafood, but spicy, you know, and I was thinking like I can do spice, but I'll need something to wash it down. So I asked if they got any drinks, and they said, "Oh, more wine." And I thought, no, but I think they understood that as sure, because they bring out more wine, and so the only thing I had to wash down this Korean barbecue was this straight alcohol. So I a couple bites later and a couple shots more, we we were pretty far gone. The other guy, Mongolian loud guy, was throwing up in the bathroom. I remember the other guy, mid conversation, ran outside and threw up in a bucket by the street, and that's when I thought, I'm gonna die tonight, because they were fully grown men and they weren't handling it very well. And I was like 18 at the time, and my God, I remember my stomach felt like there was like a worm inside of it moving around. And every second I thought it's gonna come out of me one way or another. And so I we we uh we eventually finish, right? Not even half of every tray was gone. Like so much food, but we had finished and we were leaving the Korean barbecue place, and uh, I was the only one. Well, I wasn't the only one, but we were all very staggered, and it felt like a 2 hour walk, but I think it was only like 15 minutes back to the hotel. And before we got there, though, I see that girl again, the boss's daughter. Yeah, and she looks at me. She knows I'm very drunk, and she starts to laugh, and it was very cute. But the answer was still no, and I think she was still pretty mad, or he was. But no matter what, you know, I think there'll be a part two. I don't know. There's a little more to the story. I just told it real bad. Yeah.